Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back. Today, I thought we would catch up on a little bit of Harry and Meghan gossip because there's been a lot happening, hasn't there? My gosh. If you are new to my channel, or if you are here because of fashion editions, welcome, thank you. That is what you will see most of on my channel, but occasionally we do indulge in a little bit of gossip, just a tad, just a skosh. The only gossip I ever pay any attention to is that of what's going on with royal family members, which included Prince Harry, until he chose to leave. So Harry and Meghan are occasionally in the gossip sphere that I follow on occasion, guilty pleasure, just for fun, no big deal. So I have found, however, I forgot my lip gloss. Anyway, I have found occasionally it quite helpful to look at these types of situations and identify these types of behaviors because we experience these types of things in our real life all the time, and they can be truly, honestly toxic and stressful to deal with. So, I feel like there can be a little bit of value to paying attention to these sorts of toxic behaviors or gossip when you look at it from that perspective of like understanding people's behaviors and choices so you can better keep yourself safe in the real world. But also, it's just one of those things that I indulge in once in a while with you guys. So that's what today's video is going to be about. We're not going to be talking about any fashion. We are going to be talking about Harry and Meghan and their shenanigans. When Harry and Meghan left, they made a lot of catty comments back to the queen, so to speak, back talking in a way, or trying to have comebacks that weren't that great. Like the statement of everybody can live a life of service or things of that nature. Stuff that was clearly directed to the royal family or the queen herself or the monarchy in general and was clearly in poor taste. But also, the problem that they're now experiencing is that they set themselves up by making those types of comments and these like holier than thou statements all of the time. They positioned themselves in the public eye, their public image. They created it to be one and set it up to be one that was indeed going to be of service. They set themselves up to look like they were going to pursue a trajectory of being an alternative royal unit, that they were going to be doing the same sorts of things that they had been doing when part of the royal family, and that they were going to be doing the same types of things as the royal family, but doing it on their own and monetizing it. They set themselves up that way, and they set a precedent, an expectation to the public, to the people at large, that that's what their intentions were and what their plan was and what they were going to be doing. They did fake tours in New York City and in Europe. They went around to do some Invictus events and things of that nature, and the One Young World Summit and stuff like that, just before the passing of Queen Elizabeth. They did those sorts of things and tried to position themselves as that sort of alternate. And because of that, really the only way for them to have had a success would have been to have actually done those types of things, to have actually done some good and created some sort of benefits out in the real world, which they have failed to do. Big surprise. So now they're looking not only like liars and really bad, but it's showing everybody that they actually didn't mean what they said, that they actually didn't care about helping people and all of that. And they've opened themselves up to all this criticism just because of how they positioned themselves in the beginning. Had they initially just said, yeah, we want our private life and we're just going to go have a private time and work on our mental health as individuals and live more privately and peacefully and just kind of relax, no one cared about that. Nobody would have cared. It would be like, okay, bye, I guess. They still could have shown up to cool events and, trooping the color that just happened. They still could have come to those types of things and been treated normally. Probably even kept in a more prominent position in terms of where they would have been seated and whatnot when they were doing these sorts of events, simply because Prince Harry is the brother to the future king, is the son of the current king. So he probably would have still been, in an elevated sort of position had he played his cards right. It's just textbook narcissistic self-sabotage, honestly. Or just self-sabotage, whether it's narcissistic or not. But clearly, Harry and Meghan have displayed a lot of highly narcissistic, toxic traits. There's no way around it. It's just a fact. Look at the royal family and their initiatives, what they stand for, the values they actually demonstrate and show with their actions versus Harry and Meghan. It's night and day. The royal family initiatives, okay, save the rhinos, save the elephant, encouraging reading, especially in youth, improving access to books for kids, conservation, saving bees, environmental protection, green energy, early childhood development, helping babies, parents, and young kids have better resources and knowledge to improve lifelong outcomes, something I personally am very passionate about myself. Eyesight and childhood blindness prevention, homelessness prevention and solutions, and more. The list goes on. The royal family has built this empire of do-gooding. These charitable organizations were integrated into part of the fabric of the royal family's nature, part of what they do and stand for at large. It's synonymous. Everybody knows how much the royal family helps real people and real charities, not just in the UK, but all over the place. Like, think Earthshot, that has worldwide benefits. And so that's what the royal family is all about, helping these real people, real causes, real animals all around the world. They're pure causes with pure intentions, and the royal family does it to raise awareness. They provide grants, they give actual resources and help. That is huge. It's honest work. True compassion in showing their care through their actions over decades. They don't show up and start talking about themselves literally ever. With the exception of saying that they're honored or proud or thankful or amazed at good work being done, they're literally never launching into stories about their own lives, the way we've repeatedly seen Meghan do at every single speech she gives. It's anecdotes about herself, many of them repeated year after year about her own personal life. How many times have we heard her talk about watching Jeopardy, the dish soap nonsense? So many. It is always on repeat, and it's always about her. And this is what Harry and Meghan will naturally be compared to, simply because they positioned themselves to be compared to the royal family, directly compared, because of those statements that they have made and the things that they have attempted to do. If they had not done that, people would not directly compare them to the royal family so immediately, but we do just by accident on account of Harry and Meghan's statements and choices and the way that they've set everything up. They give these long-winded and lofty comments every chance they get, touting themselves as being just as good, if not better, than the royal family that they are trashing, and by default, smearing the royal family was automatically an attempt to be seen as better than them. So then you must deliver. You simply must if you talk that way and do those types of things. And if they had immediately gotten to work, donating money, even just volunteering their time, integrating into a community of any kind, going and helping at homeless shelters or hospitals or other charities like every single week regularly, that would have shown real service and people would have respected it. But in the absence of any real tangible charitable work, they're just behaving like celebrities, which is fine unless you set yourselves up to be alternate royals consumed by serving the greater good, which is what they did, but yet failed to deliver. They set an expectation that they would be helping people and donating money to genuine charities and serving the public, which begs the question, why? Why would they do that when they left to be private citizens? Do they actually feel that passion to help out? Great. But without the structures of the monarchy in place and the decades they spent developing these relationships and vetting these charities and creating this sort of a system of benefiting the charities in every way they can, then it's hugely expensive and far less glamorous. You'd need to actually show up and volunteer your time to be seen as serving the people. Work for months or years to develop relationships with these organizations. Show people you actually care that way. Because the royal family has been at this for so long, the charitable patronages they've set up over the decades are so well vetted and get good press. They donate, they draw awareness, they're able to swoop in for a day here and there and create a good PR moment out of it and do a lot of good with those visits, which benefits the charities and simultaneously shows the good intentions of the royals. It shows the relationships they've developed, and they've done a superb job of perfecting the system, and it's beneficial. Part of why it works and is done well is simply because they are at the actual royal family. This is an established dynamic with a real role in the British government. What dynamic have Harry and Meghan? In America, perhaps regrettably, we don't have an establishment devoted to promoting unity and good care amongst the people and environment and more. We don't have a single organization like that. It's all independent. So it's just not the same. Harry and Meghan couldn't plop over here and take up anything resembling that of the royal family. So naturally, their image projection of having a life of service was rather unrealistic in the absence of, as I said, the very real and difficult work of going and volunteering time, donating real money, and establishing connection with well-vetted, purely helpful charities. The sad reality is that here, many charities keep the majority of the money they bring in, or they dispense it within their own organization and put very little back into the community, so it's not so simple. So really, no matter what Harry and Meghan did, they were fighting an uphill battle and destined to lose out when it came to competing against or positioning themselves as an alternative arm of the royal family living a life of service. We've seen nothing of the sort out of them. The other misfortune is that they are painfully boring, self-absorbed, out-of-touch whining wieners. No one, especially after the pandemic and inflation in which our pantry essentials are quadruple the cost that they were a few years ago. Quadruple. No one wants to hear it. No one wants to hear this terribly stale content or these horrible people getting awards or talking about the difficulties that they've had in their life when we have had real, genuine difficulties in real life that they can't even imagine. So it's absolutely no wonder that Spotify has parted ways and that perhaps Netflix will soon as well. It's no surprise that things are falling apart for these two. They have shown literally zero good character. They have displayed zero good values. People argue that they're trying to be helpful, or they're trying to just live their lives, or they're trying to be nice. Fine. But the problem is that they don't take the time to see how things will come across. Like the Uvalde visit. If she really wanted to be seen as helpful and caring and compassionate, she would not have dared bring cameras along. There is nothing more disgusting and despicable than what she did with that Uvalde visit. And if she really didn't want anybody to be able to call it a publicity stunt because she was coming from a good place for real, then she would have made sure no one could say that. And she didn't. So that shows it was not selfless. And this is just one of hundreds of examples. No matter what excuses people try to give, it just shows they're not actually trying to serve anyone or anything. They just aren't. Harry being at the Warrior Games simply doesn't make sense. If he were still donating time and money to help these types of organizations, it might make sense. But the problem is that they're not contributing anything at all to these initiatives. They think they can just go and do the show up part. But the reason the royal family shows up for a day and it goes over well is due to the long-standing connection, continued support, and work put in. Actual tangible contributions. That's the only reason why it works for the royal family, and Harry and Meghan are missing everything that goes into a role like that before the show-up day. It will never work for them, and I don't see why he was giving a speech at an American Warrior Games. Like, what the actual heck? How does that make sense at all? Who made that choice? They're probably getting roasted real bad for it. When you're up against a polished, compassionate, and truly helpful organization with pure and long-standing service to the public that is hugely popular no matter what you say, you'll never come out on top unless you get your hands dirty actually helping people, which Harry and Meghan are likely never going to be willing to do. They really should have just quietly kept to themselves and never made petty comments. They are so ill thought out. It's truly a narcissistic move. It's like textbook self-sabotage because they don't want to lose face. The narcissist never wants to be seen as losing or running off or not getting their way. They don't want to be seen that way. So they'll make these types of comments and statements. They'll make like always and never statements or big lofty goals or like, well, you'll see. And then they can never deliver because their heart's not actually behind it and they think they can just say whatever they need to say to get through that moment or that situation and come out looking better that time. That's all that matters to these types of people. It doesn't matter whether it's actually true or worth anybody's time anyway. You know, it was verified last week that Meghan Markle was indeed the person, or her team was indeed the people who tipped off the Paps about their location back when they were staying at Tyler Perry's house. Most people could see right through the situation, but now that it's actually out there and verified, I cannot believe there will be anybody still taking this woman seriously or this couple seriously ever again when it comes to privacy. And if they do, then they are truly out of touch, because there is no possible way to take somebody seriously after it's literally verified and they still whine. It just shows the hypocrisy, and it's self-sabotage once again. You know, there's been a lot of falling out of favor lately, and it's predictable as we have thought all along. It just is. It's purely predictable. The paparazzi shots of Meghan out and about in Montecito on the same day as Trooping the Color, also super predictable and lame. It's just annoying. It's annoying and it's dumb, and it's exactly what we have seen narcissistic type of people do in our personal lives all the time. They make these big statements, never live up to it, and never want to be held accountable for the things that they say and do. It's just par for the course, I guess. Anyway, this was super ranty, and I'm super sorry about it. We're going to be back to fashion next video. Thank you so much for being here with me. Leave in the comments how you feel about it. Let's have a discussion and talk about it. Thank you so much again, and I hope you have a happy day. I'll see you next time. Bye.